Okay,
All right, I make a motion that we open the meeting at 10:31.
second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, Don, you want to start with financials, please?
Sir, good morning.
Morning.
Overall through December 30th, still looking in good shape. Got 55% collected overall. 64.2% of that is our user charges. 362% is our connection fees. Again, big part of that was our CJC project. And again, 55.3% without the town hydrant fee being billed yet or the hydrant and distribution charges. We're in good shape right now. General expenses overall are at 41.3%. So I think through December, we're looking good. You'll notice that I made the adjustment to the indirect cost transfer for that health insurance credit. So that is on there as well. And that's all I have for an update.
Okay, and then I think the big question is going to be whether we have a wet summer like last summer, or we have a normal summer. That could be a big impact. So we don't know that yet.
Right.
Lee, do you have any questions for Don?
No, not in that, but relating to your comment about the summer, when Brenda and I do the budget, we look back over several years and average out
Okay,
what our expected income is going to be.
okay. That's a good way to do it. All right, well, thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
And on the subject of the financial 2023 budget, I wanted to start by thanking Lee and Brenda for all the hard work they put into preparing it. And I know they did a lot of work on it. And if I'm excluding anybody from that, I just want to apologize for not recognizing them. But I know Lee and Brenda have done quite a lot of work on this.
Now, Brenda and I
So,
have been working on it for probably the last 9 years.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm gonna, Lee, if you're okay with it, since you're very familiar with the budget, ask you to take the lead on this section of the meeting.
Okay,
Okay, I've just gotta help my wife find her keys briefly, so I'm gonna step away. And if you can just start, Lee, this is, you please take the lead.
okay, well, Brenda and I as a team have been working on this, as I said, for several years. And basically what we do for the water use charges is we go back several years and we average out. For the capital recovery fee, we multiplied it by 2.5% of what we currently had because that is the increase. Oh, and in the first line, we averaged out and then we multiplied it by 2.5% because we were increasing our fees by 2.5%. Same thing with all the fees that were being increased according to the rate study by 2.5%. We increased those. We try to stay very conservative when it comes to the system development charge. We only put in for 4 new systems. And the rental lease income, you'll notice that we increased that by 1/3 because we added T-Mobile. Because they are supposed to be up and running, correct, Jason?
They're pulling all their building permits and starting construction.
Yeah, so we figured by July 1st, they'll be up and running. So that's why we increased that amount. And as Don has always told us, we should zero out the liens, the tax liens, the interest income. So that is why we have nothing in those lines. Do you have any questions about that?
I don't.
Okay,
I just have a couple questions if we could just, so
Sure.
for the user charges, you said you guys averaged a number of years and then added 2.5% just for calculating the rate increase. It's showing a 7.3% decrease. So how many years did you average? And I'm just trying to understand that delta.
We go back 5 years.
5 years you averaged and then added 2.5%, and we still have a 7.3% decrease.
Yeah, well, we were very, very conservative.
The budget we have this year was conservative. Remember, we took $100,000 out of what again, I think Jason or the engineers had estimated usage based on a 10-year quarterly. So I'd be interested just to see the calculation if you guys could share it. Because
Well, you know, the thing is,
just one second, because
yeah,
I just don't want to lose my thought here. So right now, again, this is just 12 months of actual receipts coming in based on our FY22 budget, and this is factoring in our really wet summer. We're at 64.2% collected already. So I'm struggling to see the correlation between where we are right now and decreasing our budget by 7.3% if that factors in a 5-year average plus a 2% increase. So again, you don't have to answer it now. I just want to understand it going forward when we.
okay.
People
No,
are going to have
well,
my outlook and my opinion on the budget from a advisory and select board. I just want to make sure I understand the calculation and the rationale.
see, we were also looking at the tier 3. And the one large abatement that we had, the $11,000, that was a leak. And so we wanted to be very conservative on the tier 3 because when both of you had factored in tier 3 into the rate study, I had noticed that a lot of the people who were in tier 3 were people who had leaks. So this is another reason that I was going on to being more cautious.
Okay, and just I'm not trying to do an I got you here, so there's no need to say, we
I'm
didn't
not.
miscalculate anything. The tier 3 was based on usage, not, we couldn't, how could anybody know that anything was a leak? So I'm trying to start this
Well,
budget
no,
process,
but
not
the
from
thing
the,
is,
you're right, I'm right, who's right. Let's just try to make sure these things are accurate then if there's some issues. So that's all.
all right, no, the reason I said that was because I looked at the addresses and the numbers and I compared them, and they were people who had leaks. Some of them had come to us for abatements. This is why I knew my facts on that. And then, as I'm saying, we got that extra $11,000 this year because of the issue on Highland Ave, which was a leak. And as I said, we're just being extremely conservative. We can always increase it if you want, but
Can I ask
this
a
is why we're
question?
here discussing it.
One question I have, I know you were conservative on tier 3, but this is the first year we've had tier 3. So I think the 5-year average would just include tier 1 and tier 2,
That's
not
true.
tier 3, right? So I don't know how that impacts things. I just throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, I know if you feel as though we were too conservative in our projection, we can always raise it. But I'd prefer to say, oh, well, we had a dry summer and we got this income, so we had a lot of retained earnings rather than, oops, we didn't quite match what we were going to get. This is up for discussion. Brenda and I are very amenable to whatever you have to discuss.
Brenda, do you have any comments on?
No, I
Yeah.
just work with Lee on this, so the only things that at this point I think need to be discussed is the assumptions that the indirect costs are going to be reduced from 172,790 down to 159,078. That would be the biggie for me. And
Can
then
you give those
also,
numbers? Can you say those numbers again, Brenda? I'm sorry.
Okay, but we're not in that section yet, Brenda. We're up in the income.
Okay.
Okay,
And then just two other, just quick ones.
I
So
did find an error on my spreadsheet too.
okay.
Debt service.
Yeah, short-term interest.
Yeah, I don't know how that got in there.
Well, I think what happened was, the cell was hidden. So I opened up I unhid all the cells because when I'm working on it, sometimes I hide some cells. So
Yep.
inadvertently, that cell was hidden. So that's an adjustment that has to be fixed as well.
Yeah. Okay, so capital recovery, it's only showing a 0.8%. Is that, we just correcting the number of users that have this base fee? Yeah, I would assume if we're increasing based on the study at 2.5%, that it would be a little bit more than 0.8. But then also the hydrant and fire sprinkler, unless we're accounting for some new properties, it looks like that's up 5.5%.
That's based on the rate study. The hydrant fees are going up in fiscal year 2023 from $7.49 per hydrant to $7.68. So I just did the simple math on that one.
Okay, so that we didn't increase everything 2.5% across the board.
I just took the actual numbers, Don.
Okay.
I took the.
No, I hear you. I
You know
heard
what
what
I
you said.
mean?
I'd have to look at that schedule to see. I could have sworn any rate was being adjusted 2.5%. So if that is more,
Did you add hydrants too, Brenda, as well as adding the 2.5%? We added Stasco's hydrants,
Yeah, but that's all
And-
private.
then I would agree with Don. How do we increase the hydrant number should go up at 2.5%. If the hydrant number stays the same, then if you increase the fee by 2.5%, then the budget line should go up by 2.5%.
Well, I have the regular fire hydrants and fire sprinklers going from 123,092 to 129,916. That's for private.
right, so there must have been some additions to our list of properties.
Yes,
that have this.
yeah, we got the 390 building
Okay.
was one of them. I actually, because this is the quarter where we bill for private hydrants, town hydrants, whatever. I was able to take the actual numbers from that.
Okay,
And the other part, like Don noted, is the capital recovery fee. If we have the same number of accounts and sizes, then it should have just gone up by 2.5%, not by 0.8%.
But we've had an additional,
It'd be more than 2.5% if there was an ad. There'd have to be a significant reduction in number of accounts. If it
what I
went to
did with
only
that
8.
is, I took the quarterly capital recovery for this billing period. So we've added X amount of second meters throughout the summer months. We have added a lot of meters to the system, a lot of irrigation meters, so that just bumps up that capital recovery.
But to that point, then it should be 3% then, not 0.8%, because at a minimum, it has to be 2.5% because the rate increase was 2.5%. And then any additional accounts would just add to the 2.5% on capital recovery.
Okay, I can do that.
right, again, if you have current data, let's go with that then. I mean, I agree, it should be 2.5. Again, if the figures were accurate last year for the number of users that are gonna have this base charge, then yeah, we'd expect to see 2.5 or more if we add. But if you're using based on the most current commitment, I mean, that's gonna be the number of
But
customers.
I didn't add 2.5% to that, Dawn, though. I apologize. No, I just.
Oh, okay,
took the
okay.
Actual dollar amount for this quarter, and 2.5% was not added to it. Again,
Nope.
this is our first run around, so.
Sure, sure.
I will make note of that.
So that will increase our budget line.
Correct.
Can I ask one question, a little off topic, but I think related? At some point, this budget has to get discussed with advisory and the select board, correct?
Yep.
Okay, is that something you're gonna do, Don, or you, Lee? I think you're more familiar with it certainly than me.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm gonna defer to you guys. You know, you guys are presenting it. I'll be there to support, but I want to make sure I understand this. So when the questions are being asked, you know, Lee can answer them, but they will ask my opinion if everything's reasonable. So I just got to understand it before those presentations happen.
Okay. Lee, is that something that you'd like to do or? be
Well, I
willing
mean,
to-
I've been doing it for the last several years.
Okay, so if you don't mind doing it, I would appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we just have to make this adjustment in the capital recovery fee. Do you see anything else?
I'll do the capital recovery, the hydrants. With the increase with it, which will bring up our revenues. Can't do it on the fly, so I'd rather
No.
sit down and work out the numbers. And then I have to remove, well, we're not in the bottom section yet, so I won't talk about that yet.
All right, so Brenda will be working that back up.
Okay. That's all I had on questions for the revenue side.
All right, it's a shame you didn't give them to her a little sooner than we could have possibly had these done, but
Well, I just got around to it. Everybody's busy here, Lee. So
Okay, all
oh,
right.
I'm sorry. I thought
All right,
the
guys,
budget
let's
went
please-
out.
Let's
a while ago.
please just try to discuss the facts and,
so I'm trying
Yeah.
here.
okay.
No, because I mean, Brenda and I discussed this and I thought the budget went out to everybody to look over before today. Okay, are we, so we just have to rework this number? And then we're gonna have to be reworking some numbers down in the bottom. Now, I have a question. We maintained 170,000 for utilities that we had before, but I don't know, how are utilities going? Do you feel as though that number should be raised?
Based on our budget right now, we're meeting it.
You know, but this is right now. I mean, I'm listening to people out in the street about how much they're paying for utilities. And I do not know what the town has for contracts. You know, that would be something in your purview, Don. How does
Yeah.
that work?
We're pretty locked in to lower rates, actually. I don't have the actual breakdown of what the rates are, but
I mean, as far as what we projected in the rate study, we projected 2.5% increase on all expenses as well as revenues. So we take that for what it's worth.
Don, are you seeing similar increases that Lee's discussing with town hall, for example, utilities or other?
no,
municipal
I have
buildings?
not at the local, no.
Okay,
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just looking at what the actuals were for the previous years and we haven't met the 170. So that's why we decided to continue with it unless you had some information about contracts.
No, I think the
That's totally
170
out
should
my-
be good.
Okay. System maintenance and extraordinary maintenance. We felt as though they were absolutely necessary to maintain.
So I mean, all these make sense, like sludge removal, we get, you know, we're gonna be doing more of that. Chemical and lab costs, I know that we've been seeing some increases. But what I didn't see, and I know we're still waiting on approval of our application, but the GAC, that was estimated, once that's online, to be a $300,000 annual maintenance. And so I guess I just gotta understand I'm not seeing any type of increase like that on our expense side. So when do we expect that to come into place and be on our radar for actual maintenance costs?
I wasn't presuming it was going to be in the next fiscal year. Is it, Jason? From the discussions we had? It looks like
Depends.
it's maybe 15 months. And then you wouldn't be having the maintenance instantaneously. So I was
So,
presuming it would be in the next fiscal year, not the one that we're dealing with now.
Okay, so, and that's just something to keep in mind. So when this happens, again, depending on, I would like to see the calculation for our 7.3% decrease in user fees or user charges, but that was factored into the rate study for fiscal 23. And so if we're not planning that, it just could be an adjustment. We might have to, I mean, that's $300,000 next year, potentially, that we'd have to go and potentially increase rates more than 2.5% if we have to cover that cost. Just want to make sure we're planning for that.
Yeah, but I don't know, does anyone have any idea about when the GAC system will be up and running and our first, whatever we call it, the clean out?
I'm trying to speak, but you and Don keep on talking over me. So it's 9 months from the filter delivery. If we ordered in February, you're looking at October delivery. We might be online potentially by next spring. Hopefully, I think we would get through that and not need to do a changeout before July 1st, but we might be doing one in the middle of next summer.
Well, that's what I was calculating on also, so it would not be in this budget.
Right.
So in the end, Don, I guess the to bring back to your point, if you leave that 7% decrease, I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, but if we get through next year and we really don't see that 7% decrease, we actually see, we meet what the rate study had projected, then that 300,000 will actually be there and not lost in it and needing an increase. And I apologize for the background. I'm working from home because we're a whole COVID positive cluster here. So, I'm working from home this week.
Hope everyone's okay in your family and it's going
Just
around.
low grade
everywhere.
fevers.
Yeah. Another thing that's unknown on that same point on GAC is the ultimate cost of the actual installation and build. You know, we had the presentation at our last meeting, and I believe it's Tetra Tech is still thinking we're at 3.6 million realistically, but the Tishon Bond was thinking the cost could be double that. So there's stuff we're gonna have to deal with as we learn more about that, and potentially have to do another rate study if the costs are much more than we're expecting.
So, I mean, we're in such a flux now because of the supply chain and everything else that we have no clue how anything is going.
The other option, John, we do have to potentially reduce costs on it. If we run into an issue with the metal building portion of it, we could design everything around the metal building and then do the metal building after. Once those costs come down and are more in line with a typical cost. So everything would be in place. The filters would be outside until those building costs come down to a more reasonable number if we run into an issue.
Hopefully they will. We're running 7% inflation right now, so who knows where things are gonna go.
Okay, another cost that we increased was the gasoline. What type of contract does the town have for that? Don? Hello?
Jesus Christ. I heard you.
Okay, I didn't
We don't
know.
have so we don't have a contract. I'm not sure. Have we even seen an increase? I don't even think we've come close to meeting that budget. for $7,000, but $250 is a reasonable increase, I guess, to be conservative.
Well, you know, considering my business and I see prices every single day,
Yeah,
I have
No.
not seen any decrease. But I'm in the private market. And as I said, I don't know what kind of a contract the town does.
We can look at the next year when we replace the vehicle is up for replacement to replace it with electric.
And your electric bills are gonna go up high.
We'll have solar by then, Steve.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, I don't know if we'll be replacing our vehicles next. I don't think we're replacing our vehicles next year. We still have.
We have one vehicle up for replacement next year in the capital plan. Not in fiscal 24. There's a vehicle up for
So we'll be
replacement.
getting an electric pickup truck, utility truck.
Potentially.
I don't know.
It's to
Well,
replace the
Sarah-
small pickup that's used to drive around in.
Currently, to date, we've used about $3,050 out of the 7,500 in gasoline charges, and that's through the end of December.
Yeah. But as I said, the town is on a special contract. Does it go up or is it steady through the year?
I don't have that information.
I think it changes. I'd have to pull the file.
I mean, I have not been privy to that type of information. Okay, and then we saw that we jacked up the chemical and labs by 50,000 because of the PFAS tests that will be required to do, but I don't know. Do you feel that is sufficient?
Leave that to Fred and Jonathan on what their costs for chemicals are and what they're seeing in transportation costs increase.
Well,
And I talked to
chemicals have all
Brenda
gone
about
up as of the first of the year, so have all the costs for each and every test that we send out. I can't
Didn't you
really.
say, Brenda, there's a big increase in the hauling costs too to get the chemicals here?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, everything's, yeah, the shipping charges are through the roof.
So Fred and Jonathan, do you think the 50,000 increase is reasonable?
I have not done any research on pricing. I would have to rely on Jonathan, but we could certainly look into it deeper.
If you don't mind doing that and
Not at all.
letting Lee and Don know, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to.
Thank you.
I have everything on a spreadsheet, which shows going back years. So it's a simple, I can just email them. And you can see the increase.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
two action items right now is looking into those chemical costs, transportation, and then Lee and Brenda, you're gonna get Don the calculation on the 7.5% decrease.
Yes.
In user fees. Okay. All right.
Okay, now, did you want to get my rationale for the indirect cost decrease?
Yes, please. Can you just please give us the numbers again that Brenda mentioned, the current indirect cost and then the decrease
The
that
current
you're,
indirect cost,
172,790 was the original charge that you guys agreed on.
okay,
And we reduced it to 159,078.
for next year.
okay. All right, yeah. If you don't mind explaining your rationale, that would be
Well,
appreciated.
I've been looking for some accountability. For 3 years, I have requested from the treasurer's department some idea of what they're doing for us, what is listed as 10 hours a week of work. And I always get that, well, we'll look into it. I have not gotten anything in 3 years. Now, when I first came on the board, American was in charge of the plant. They had an addendum in their contract where all the work that all of the water employees were doing for sewer was paid directly by sewer to American. When Woodard and Curran came on, two of the three commissioners decided, well, we don't have to worry about that cost. So sewer was getting free work from us for 2 years. When we started negotiating, I had to come up with, well, what exactly are you doing? And here, this is the list I came up with of what our water people were doing for sewer. All I was asking from the treasurer collector's office is, well, just give us an idea of what you're doing for 10 hours a week. And I've been getting crickets for 3 years.
Oh, well,
So-
you'll get something, Lee. Paul has worked on that. I thought she
I
already
don't know.
sent it
It's
to
been
you.
3 years. let's.
Well,
be
you just asked her. You just asked her
What do
about
you
a
mean I
week and a
just
half.
asked her?
You-
I have emails from 3
I
years
have
ago.
your
when I asked her.
email going back just a couple weeks ago. Everybody's not here just to serve you. We're trying to do our jobs, and
Oh,
she-
okay.
she worked on it. She worked, so you will get an answer. I apologize. I thought it was gonna be emailed to you or you were gonna be reached out to last week. And she will. I'll talk to her today about it. But she went through
Okay.
and tried to come
All
up
right,
with
so
something.
Yeah,
let me
that's
just
okay.
ask, if I can just please ask a question. So Don, Lee is, just so I understand, is asking for backup for the charges from the finance department, which is
Yep.
10 hours a week that we're being charged. Lee thinks she hasn't gotten the information, but you're now saying that she will get that information, correct?
Yeah, Paula is
Okay.
working on it. We literally just had conversations last week about your request that you went directly to her for, which is great. And she's gonna prepare something. Again,
Okay,
she's
And
been
is-
down a staff person for 2 weeks now because of COVID and other things, so I thought it was gonna be to you last week and it wasn't, so I'll
Oh.
follow up today.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
And is
because
she-
I have called the treasurer's office over the years and asked for some reports,
Mhm.
and tell Brenda to run it.
all right, well, we're talking about,
But,
let's
I'm
please keep,
saying, I don't see the work.
let's please keep with the
Yes.
current request.
This is,
Don's saying we're gonna get it. I'm confident Don is correct. And if there are questions, how do we approach it? Let's come up with a solution because Don, can you explain what kind of information Lee will be getting? And if there are questions on it, if you have suggestions how to we best proceed.
Yeah, so I don't know what the actual support was. I know she took a look at number of bills that are done, which the revenue collector, that's her primary job, is handling all of the billing. So everything that comes in, so I know there was an allocation, or she took a look at number of bills in any given year and took a look at the number of the percentage versus number of hours that she works in a week and looked at water, sewer bills versus total bills. Again, I don't know what she'll give you for supporting information, but she took a look at it. And again, some of the management time is gonna be her best estimate. So,
Yeah,
I mean, she's not gonna be able to sit here. Nobody does timesheets, so she can't tell you her management of overseeing all of our cash transactions, deposits, overseeing tax liens and other items and working with the revenue collector. It's not gonna be something that you can document on that.
Right.
But to the best of her ability, I think she went through and documented the best she could for you is the revenue collector, which is, I think, the bigger part of that 10 hours.
okay.
okay, now,
we
but wait a second,
understand.
excuse me, can I just say something here? When
Yeah.
we take a look at it, we have 3 to 4 people working on this. So it's not just one person. So, we have 3 to 4 people working 10 hours a week.
No. I don't even know how
No.
do you see that? Three or four people each working 10 hours per week?
Total, 3 to 4 people working total 10 hours a week,
And that's an average.
according
so-
to your indirect cost sheet. I
Again,
looked at
yeah,
that.
so
We have
some of
the
that is
revenue,
gonna
we have the
change.
treasurer collector, the deputy treasurer collector, and the
Yeah,
revenue collector.
Yeah, so you'll get an
Okay,
answer.
so all these people are working between them 10 hours a week.
No,
I say
well,
revenue
let me
collector's
just,
closer
if
to 6, so, I mean, come on, man, like,
if I can
we're gonna get to the info.
interject, what we're talking about is an average of 10 hours a week. Some weeks may be 0 hours, some weeks may be 30 hours, depending on the time of the year, depending on the demands. Is that right, Don?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so maybe when bills are going out, they're spending a good part of the week on it, 20, 30 hours, and it may be sometimes it's 0 hours, but the best estimate we have right now is 10 hours a week, according to Don's analysis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so, yeah,
Okay,
we'll
and
we'll get.
you
we'll
know
get-
that they do not do anything with the bills going out. It's only the bills coming in.
Doesn't matter, Lee. If they work,
Okay,
if they
I'm
work
just saying, no, I just
6
wanted to
hours a
correct-
week on water and sewer, it doesn't matter if their bills going out or bills coming in. Like, come on. And honestly, this indirect cost allocation was set even before me, and I've jumped over my hoops to try to make you guys happy with this. And this is just so crazy to go back and forth about this like we have. And not only that, I told you guys, if you wanted a specific dive, I'm not going to redo this right this second, but if there were any areas that you wanted to look at, I'd be happy to address it. Nobody reached out to me. You just went directly to Paula and now blaming Paula when she's not here. I mean, I just feel like this is a constant battle over any changes is going to be a couple grand, if that.
Well,
lot of
when you take a
extra
look at
effort
how much
and
our
hassle.
indirect costs have gone up over the last 5 years. If
Because you
you're
went to
looking at 100
70% on
grand,
that engineer. I mean, there are things.
I know there are things.
All right. Well, you'll get the information, and
Okay,
then you can
Okay,
decide
so-
if you're happy with it or not.
All right, I agree with that. Now, if my calculation's right, the total indirect costs decreased, Lee, that you're requesting is $13,712. Is that all based upon the finance department or are there other
no,
areas?
and that is the
Okay.
wrong number because the number for indirect costs went up to $177,000 for next year from 172. So we went up over $4,400. The other area I looked at, because I've been talking to a lot of other departments in town, and they've been noting about how much time Jason is spending with what's going on in the harbor and everything. I'm wondering whether or not we should reduce his time to 60% instead of 70. We have
almost-
asked for accountability. We have not gotten anything in the last year because you and Steve said we don't really need it, but I don't know.
Okay, I think what we need to do then is simply ask Jason how much time I think he's spending, if he's able to spend 70% time. I, again, go back to, this is the difficulty we have. My preference would be Jason be 100% of the time, so we avoid him getting pulled in all these different directions. And Jason sometimes doesn't have control over it. I would
I'd also
think.
like to correct because when people are talking to other members of other committees, they're not necessarily telling them the truth in what this allocation was and is meant. Because I talked to a member of the Capital Budget Commission who said he was told that Chris Senior was trying to make me 100% water department, and that's what that Lee was against. And I informed that person that no, I'm not 100% water department. And therefore, he thought 70-30 was an appropriate amount of money because he appreciates when I come to capital budget now, the process is a lot smoother. There's a lot less questions and they understand the projects. Before, there was a lot of difficulty understanding even what you guys were proposing. So they appreciate the expertise I bring to the department. And he was fine with the 70-30 split. He said 100% wouldn't work. And I would agree that 100% of my time is tough given my role in the town. But 70-30, I think, is justified. I provide a lot of support to Fred and the guys there and to Brenda, doing just day-to-day stuff, as well as helping them try to determine ways to fix things that they need help with, that they need to find funding for. So on a day-to-day basis, I talk to Fred, Brenda, and Jonathan and Brendan a significant amount of time. I have an open door policy. They come in and out as they need.
Can I ask you a question, Jason? What license are you working on for water? Have you gotten one yet?
took the class to get a T2 and I'm scheduled to take the test in the next month.
Okay, so you have no water licenses yet.
No, I don't. I don't need to have a water license. Like I was a consulting engineer
Okay,
who got paid by multiple water departments good money to come to their meetings like this. I got paid $150 an hour to come to people's water commission meetings as a private consultant. I didn't need a water license to do that. I have designed water treatment plants personally. I have construction oversighted multiple water treatment plants. I've designed miles of water mains. I am qualified to sit in the seat I sit in. Thank you very much. And if you want to abuse me anymore, I'm more than happy to leave. Please cut me to 50% if it means I don't have to listen to you. I would love it. I would be more than happy to get cut to 50%. Make me 25%. That's fine. Whatever you want, Lee.
Okay, I think. all
okay,
right.
excuse me.
Thank you
I
for
just
your
want to say
comment.
something about this
Hold
now.
on, hold
I
on.
don't know, Don and
Hey,
Jason have had a problem for a while. I know last year, we as a board voted to go into tier 2 for the town. Don and Jason were against it. Don, at the April 1st meeting, he told the advisory committee that, oh, it's going to cost the schools 2.5 times what it actually was. So everything was voted down. Oh, and then the next day, he sent them an email. Oops, I made a mistake, miscalculation.
Takes
And
happen.
now,
Wait,
here I
no,
am.
guys,
I'm gonna
Wait
jump
a
in. I'm gonna
second.
jump in.
Take over
John,
here.
just wait a second.
We just
No,
I'm
we've
gonna-
been
Ask
through
Don
this
to talk to the
about
school
10
this year
times.
again
We've been
about
through this
tier
10
2.
times.
Don didn't
said,
do it.
admitted that there was a calculation error. We've been through this. We're not.
No,
this
but
is
it was
not
too
fit-
late. They
not
voted
productively.
against it.
Hey, I'm gonna,
And
let
they
me
are
jump in
working
real quick.
now
Let me jump in
against it.
quickly. Let me jump in.
All right.
Hold
on. Go ahead.
Let's just, let's just be courteous I know we have differences, but let's be courteous to everybody here. We really can't be attacking people like this. We're better than that. I know we have our differences. I totally get it, but let's just try
We're
to,
professionals to be attacked like this. So, and
Yes.
just the last point, and then you guys can do what you need to, and I gotta get going. But
Oh, good.
I reached out to the school right after you guys talked about a tier 2 change the next day. And you went and called Susan Owen, had a nice long conversation, and she admitted to you that I called her and told her about it. So I don't know where you're coming off that I didn't do it.
Okay,
No.
we're not. Don and Lee, please.
Excuse me, wait a
This is-
second.
No, this
Susan
meeting is.
admitted that you said
Steve
there's
is
something
correct.
in the
This is
wind.
becoming
You didn't tell her
unprofessional.
anything about it.
yeah, let's just stop.
Let's just stop.
Yes.
This is unproductive.
I'm
Let's
getting
talk
tired
about
of
the
being told
budget.
everything is my fault.
No one's saying
I mean, the
anything's your
cameras
fault.
were my fault, Jason. This is my fault. I'm sorry.
Lee, I
Leo.
haven't heard anyone say anything's your fault.
You
No
don't
one's-
remember when Jason said it's Lee's fault because we couldn't get the cameras right? I'm only a consultant and I don't know this. And
Hang on.
because of
All right,
Lee,
okay,
we
we're
couldn't
ending
find
the
anybody.
conversation. My
We're gonna end
recollection,
this
I never
discussion.
remember anyone blaming
You don't
for
remember it,
anything.
okay.
Okay?
End the
That's my-
discussion.
Yeah, let's end the discussion. Let's talk about, Don, if you need to go, you're welcome to go. I know you said you had another commitment. Thank you for your time. I appreciate everything you're doing. And I apologize that this meeting unfortunately has gotten a little heated. As the chair, I should have stopped that, and I take responsibility. I'm sorry about that, and thank you for your time.
Sure, I'll talk to Paula today. You guys will get some information on her department. If not today, the next day or so.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Okay. So the other indirect cost items, Lee, I know that one of them is the information you'll be getting from Don. Can you please go through the other items that you disagree with on indirect
I just
costs?
told you.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
So-
Jason just told me he's tired of being abused, so I don't know.
Okay, all right. So those are the two items. The question is
Here
how
are
to
the two
resolve it.
items.
I think we're just gonna have to vote on it, and I make
See,
a
but how can we
motion.
vote on it before we get any information from Paula?
Okay,
There's
that's
still
fine.
there's still other questions about the budget we have to get answers to before we can vote on it.
Okay, when's the meeting with the select board and advisory?
I have no clue.
Okay,
I don't think anything's been set yet, John.
okay, so we can set another meeting once we get the information back.
Right, so
Um,
this is what I propose at this point. I'm gonna do 2 budgets. I'll do one with what was originally the indirect costs. And I'll do one with Lee's proposed indirect costs. I'll do a 2.5% increase to the line items that were not increased. I'll send it out to I'll fix the adjustment where I put in 5,400 where it didn't belong. I'll get it to zero out and I'll send it to everybody.
Okay,
Thank you, Brenda. The other thing that in you doing your 2 budgets, the only other question is the 7.5% decrease. So.
Well, I'm gonna fix that, John.
Okay, thank you, Brenda.
I'll fix that.
All right. Anything else on the fiscal year 2023 budget?
So we'll table this till the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I want to thank Lee and Brenda for all their hard work on this. And again, apologize if things got a little heated. And I hope we can resolve the indirect costs. I know last time that we voted on indirect costs, or maybe it was the time before, we had to bring Chris Senior in to kind of mediate this because we had a very difficult time reaching agreement, and we may need to request Chris Senior come back into this. But we can probably discuss that at the next meeting. So Elms Meadow update.
Jonathan?
Yeah, we sampled it for PFAS a few days after the first of the year, and we are waiting for those results.
Anything else?
I have a question, Jonathan. With your sampling, when did we go over 20 in the last, for those 2 samples?
It was approximately 12 months ago today, actually.
Okay, and before that, when was it?
How do you mean before that? So on,
The first one, when we had to close the well field.
I would have to get back to you on that, but it was earlier in the year prior. So I would say,
Okay.
the fall of 19, probably.
You know, it seems as though that these numbers happen to be at the end of the time that people are dumping in that well field area. I know Jason thinks it might be coming down from the hillside. The hillside's been sewered for a long time. I'm wondering whether or not we have, there's that catch basin there to see whether or not there's any problem with stuff coming down from the hillside. But it just seems strange to me that after the end of a dumping season and heavy rains or whatever, we're getting a PFAS hit, but we're not getting it in the spring when there are heavy rains. But I mean, this is just an observation. I don't know. I'm looking at it. Don't forget, I'm not an engineer. But any thoughts on that? Why it would be?
Oh, I can't comment on the causes, but I would say that a number or all of the samples we've since gotten have been over 10 and 15, which would put us into, I think, a monthly public education statement that may not be desirable. So regardless of whether or not it's high enough to shut the well down, it is high enough to have to notify the public, which wouldn't be desirable.
Oh, I know. No, but I'm just wondering why the really high number is at a certain time of the year. Rather than if we have heavy rains in the spring, you would presume maybe we would have a high number then too.
I think Jonathan answered that. He can't comment on the,
I know,
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
throwing
okay.
out some ideas, that's all.
okay,
You know,
The
just from
average,
observation.
right, well, as I said, the trend was pretty close to being high enough to shut the well down regardless. So, so where the number that shut the well down was 25, and a number of the samples since have been almost 20. So they're somewhat comparable, I would say.
Oh, I don't know. Well, because you have that line. Is there any consideration of when we're looking at doing any mitigation at the well field? Are we planning on ever getting that started? Are we waiting for federal funds?
That would be, I think, a question for Fred and Jason, and also maybe some decision-making between the board
Yeah.
members. Well, it's my guess.
yeah, I would think also we need to consider the cost savings that were calculated compared to the mitigation costs and whether the mitigation costs are worth it.
Yeah, so we'll wait for the next grant funding cycle for the PFAS. The one that's out right now is for offset costs due to a loss of a well field. If they have one again for construction costs, we can reapply for that. But to your point, John, unless we get free money for it, it'd never be a viable investment for the town. The payback would be, 20 to 30 years out on the construction costs.
Right.
Yeah, because I
All
mean, we
right.
were using the well field basically in the last several years to offset some of the sludge costs. Because it was reducing the sludge.
Okay. All right, well, I just wanted to end the meeting by thanking
Okay, excuse me
everyone.
1 second, John.
Yes,
Whatever happened about 508? Are we just letting that die?
I don't think we're letting it die, no.
Because I
So
thought,
that-
we had to give them something. Isn't there a ZBA meeting coming up next month?
I'm not sure, this is not on the agenda for today, so not sure it's appropriate to go into it. But in any event, Rich Henderson, I had a conversation with Rich Henderson. He understands the time-sensitive nature of this and he was not involved in the permitting, but he's working with the civil engineering firm, Cavanero Consulting, to get us all the documents that we've requested and to meet the conditions that the ZBA had on the original permit, which
Is the
includes,
ZBA meeting still going on next week about this?
I do not believe it is, no.
Does Jason know if it's been postponed?
Just keep it on getting continued until we get the information requested.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I suggest a couple things. One is that for our February 16th meeting, we put on the budget, continued discussion on the fiscal 2023 budget, as well as 508 CJC. I wanted to thank again Lee and Brenda for their hard work on the budget and their continued work on it. I want to thank Jason for the excellent work he's doing for the water department. I think he adds a lot of value, and I think he's adding at least the 70% that we're paying him for. And the fact that capital budget commission meetings are going much more smoothly since Jason's been involved is a huge benefit to us, in my opinion. So thank you, Jason, for your great work. Any further comments?
No other comments?
Okay, make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 11:25 a.m.
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.